What is up, guys? It's your boy Edward V, and today I'm going to do something different, something that I actually never do. I'm going to answer Instagram questions. That's right, I'm going to answer your Instagram questions so that you don't feel left out. I feel like I've always answered YouTube questions, so I'm trying to give love to some Instagram followers. Also, I've never plugged Instagram ever on this channel. So I do have an Instagram channel. It's at Fledged Fitness. You can go and follow me. The links are always in the description on my YouTube videos, so you could always go to that link down in the description, click on it, go over there and follow me. And I always post what I'm going to post on my YouTube, and sometimes I post some personal things there. So if you want to get more of an insight, you can go onto my Fledged Fitness Instagram account, and maybe I'll do a questions answered video for you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle some questions that I've gotten on my Instagram, just 5 of them, only 5 questions, because I don't want to make this video too long. And hopefully this is helpful for you guys, but let's jump right into it so that I don't prolong this intro any longer. Here we go. Okay, Echo Express Innovations asks, I would love to know if fasting has any effects on spider varicose veins. Intermittent fasting there isn't any studies out there looking at control studies or anything looking at spider/varicose veins with intermittent fasting and the positive/negative or positive or negative effects of that. Spider veins and varicose veins comes from poor blood flow circulation. So for example, when you see the bulging in the legs, and it's in the face and in the legs, but you see it a lot in the legs, it's because the blood is pooling and kind of coupling together, pushes out. The best treatments that I've heard of and I've noticed is things like compression socks, where you can put them, they go really high up, all the way up to your legs, basically like stockings. They help with the circulation of the blood flow. Also, in a non-cause way, intermittent fasting can help you lose weight. If you're struggling with losing weight and you haven't tried the intermittent fasting protocol, it can help you lose weight, and that can inadvertently also help, because losing weight, improving your cardiovascular system, those things can also assist you with the blood flow, so that it can help you actually treat the spider/varicose veins. So there isn't a direct link between the two. If intermittent fasting doesn't negatively or positively affect it, but it can help you lose weight, and weight loss positively affects spider/varicose veins. All right. So let's go on to the next one. Thank you for that question. The next question is, I've started back on fasting. Last time I did it, the weight started dropping. I feed 54 horses, so the cardio is there, and I work out every other day. Didn't do a massive diet change last time. This time it's not moving. Don't know what I'm missing. 16.8. So she threw 16.8 right at the end to let me know, I guess, that 16.8 is the protocol that she's utilizing. From this question, however, I can kind of see that she doesn't count her calories, doesn't seem to think that counting calories matter. And I'm here to tell you that they do. Counting calories matter, and one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to intermittent fasting is a lot of people like to push well, this is the diet that lets you not count calories. No, it's kind of twisting the truth a little bit. It's the diet that lets you kind of be more aware of how much calories you're taking in. It makes overeating more difficult, because since you're compressing your time window of eating, you start to see bigger meals, because that's what has to happen. If you spread it out, you'll see smaller meals, and then it's harder for you to kind of get a grasp on how much you're eating. It's easier for you to not eat so much, or to feel full within your window, and then your window ends and then you don't eat anymore. But you still have to measure your calories. So if you're not measuring calories, although you didn't measure calories before, you may have been eating at a deficit, and now you're not eating at a deficit. Some things may have changed. Your eating patterns may have changed. The amount that you eat may have increased. So you're probably just not eating at a deficit, and you do need to eat at a deficit. Also, a lot of people overestimate how much calories they burn simply through cardio. Feeding 54 horses is good cardio, I guess, throughout the day on a daily daily basis. But just to keep it in perspective, for a normal weight person, normal height, average height, if they were to run a 5K run, for example, at a good pace of 22 minutes for the entire 5K run, they will lose about 400 and so calories. That's like a donut and a half. So just keep that in mind. Calorie expenditure isn't as great as a lot of people think. There isn't that much in terms of the calorie expenditure. What matters more, like 90% of if being at a negative energy balance where your body has to pull energy from itself to create energy, that comes from food. That comes from being at a caloric deficit and eating less. So if you're not seeing weight loss, but you're not managing what you're eating, then you're going to have to manage what you're eating to a certain extent until you get comfortable with understanding what's on your plate and having a rough estimate. It looks like right now your estimates may be off. Also keep in mind that weight loss fluctuates. It doesn't only represent body fat. If you look at the scale represents glycogen, muscle, water retention, so many other factors. So that's also something you want to keep in mind as well. All right, so let's move on to the next question. See if we could power through these Instagram questions. Next question is from Arnold1120. How do you not aggressively lower your calories while only having a 4-hour feeding window? Can you talk more about that? Plateau and maybe another video. All right, so I guess I'll just talk about it in this video. So Arnold, how do you not aggressively lower your calories while only having a 4-hour feeding window? See, you have to know what your goals are. If you want to build muscle, I always recommend that you extend your eating window as much as possible. You open that eating window as much as you can because you want to add more layers of protein synthesis. Working out creates protein synthesis. Eating protein creates protein synthesis. Being at a caloric surplus creates protein synthesis. And meal frequency, believe it or not, also creates protein synthesis. So it adds layers of protein synthesis that at the end, when you're looking at how anabolic or catabolic you are, you want to be net anabolic, which means you want to be more anabolic than you were catabolic throughout the day. Although you go through waves, you want to be more anabolic so that you're building muscle. If building muscle is your goal, if that's your goal. So I don't know if that's your goal, but it seems like you want to get in more calories for a specific reason. Now, if you want to be at a caloric deficit, it's fairly easy to do it in a 4-hour feeding window. Now, if you don't want to be at an aggressively low caloric deficit, like below 1,200 calories, below 1,500 calories, you want to be a little bit above that and still be at a deficit, then you want to eat calorie-dense foods that are actually healthy. You want to use things like olive oil. You want to eat things like cheese, eggs. Those things are calorie-dense based on the volume of the food, but you can actually eat more of them. These aren't unhealthy calorie-dense foods that you can eat. So you want to focus on calorie-dense foods if you want to get your calories at not an aggressively low level, but still be at a caloric deficit. And then you want to open your eating window to at least 8 hours. So that you can get in your food if you're trying to create hypertrophy, which means build muscle. So that's my recommendation in terms of that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Next question comes from The Life of SOF, I guess, The Life of SOF. If you aren't doing keto, does that mess up the intermittent fasting? I'm pescatarian, so I find it challenging to do keto. I don't know why. Well, if you're pescatarian and you don't want to do keto, the easiest answer is don't do keto. You don't have to do keto. The thing with keto and intermittent fasting, they work together to a certain extent. They're kind of like brothers and sisters. The reason that they work together is because certain things are similar. Certain hormonal triggers are similar. When doing keto and when doing intermittent fasting. For example, the beta hydroxybutyrate that gets triggered in the liver that sends the ketone bodies into your brain to power the brain through ketones as opposed to utilizing glucose. that induces lipolysis, or your insulin is reduced. All of that helps with body fat burning, and intermittent fasting helps to do that intermittently throughout the day. So once you start eating, you're stumping all of that. You're now utilizing carbohydrates and glucose to power your body as an energy source. With keto, you're constantly doing that. So you're doing intermittent fasting, and then when you get off of intermittent fasting, you're still at a ketogenic state because the foods that you're eating is still suppressing your insulin from secreting so high. But do you need it? No, you can still get the benefits of intermittent fasting, burn body fat, get into that ketosis, not in a ketosis state, but utilize ketones. You could be utilizing ketones and not be in a ketogenic state. Very possible. It's as long as your insulin is down, you're in that state, and still get the benefits of burning body fat without having to use the ketogenic diet. Remember, number one thing is adherence. Adherence is at the top of the pyramid over intermittent fasting, over the keto diet, over eating 3 meals a day, over eating 6 meals a day. You want to do something that you can adhere to in the long term. That's the number one thing. Because at the end of the day, if you have to go back to something else and you only utilize a protocol to jolt you into a certain position, then you will inevitably fall back into whatever problem you had in terms of weight to begin with. Or health, weight and health. So you want to find something that works for you. If intermittent fasting while being a pescatarian, while not doing keto, is the little niche and the little crux for you so that you can do this long term, and that's the thing that you should stick to. All right, so let's go into the final question. Final question comes from Mrs. Borg. And Mrs. Borg asks, question, what about drinking alcohol? I have a social event. Should I drink during my 8-hour window? And if you drink on occasion, what do you recommend? Well, if you're going to drink alcohol, I would definitely recommend, if you want to be social, you have to understand that there's exceptions and rules. The intermittent fasting protocol is the rule. Look at it as the rule. If you constantly have that as the rule, then you'll always fall back to it no matter where you deviate. You don't see yourself deviating and then thinking, well, that's it, I'm done, I messed up, I'm packing it in. You go out on a Friday drinking, you didn't do your protocol, big whoop. You get back onto it the next day. That moment or that day is the exception to the rule. You just want to make sure that your exceptions aren't so prevalent and try to make them few and far between. Don't try to do 3 days in a row where you're going out drinking. Try your best to minimize that. And if you have weeks where the majority of the week you are following your protocol, you may be in a better position anyways. If you notice that it's stumping you to some degree, then you may have to dial it back a little bit more. If it's stumping your weight loss or stumping your body composition reduction or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're looking at that, you're paying attention to that, and then you're moving according to what you're seeing. I mean, beers contain a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sugar, so those things will have empty calories. So you can drink so much of it and not know how much calories you're actually putting in. So in terms of calorie intake, that might definitely throw you off. Alcohol doesn't have, like liquor, doesn't have that much calories, but most of it gets mixed with juice and these different things that have a lot of sugar in it, so that can still create empty calories. So you have to be mindful of that, but know that you don't want any regimen or any protocol to completely suffocate your social life. So if you want to go out on a Friday, then go out on a Friday and do what you want to do, but just know that alcohol in and of itself, it also does damage to the liver, dehydrates you, so then water retention becomes more aggressive. It doesn't help for weight loss for sure, but if you do it once in a while, will it hurt? I don't believe so. So just, work on making sure that your rule is intermittent fasting, and anytime you deviate, that's the exception, and you minimize the amount of times that you are doing the exception to the rule. All right, guys, thank you so much. I don't plug my Instagram ever, so I'm plugging it in this video. If you want to follow me on Instagram, go ahead. The link is in the description. It's just Fledge Fitness, the same name as the channel, at Fledge Fitness, and you will be at my Instagram. So just hit that follow button. And also, hey, I don't plug in my YouTube channel either, so go ahead and hit subscribe if you're liking this intermittent fasting information, weight loss information, focusing on those kind of things. If you're questioning things, I have video essays on my YouTube channel that are amazing. I think they're great. You could check those things out too. and they talk about things in fitness that not a lot of people know about. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much. I've never answered questions before on Instagram, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon, and I'm going to go ahead and put their names right up here. And as always, guys, I'll see you on Sunday for another FAQ. Peace.